Hi and welcome to Knit All the Things. My name is Laurel. I'm also known as West Maven on Instagram, Ravelry in here. In this special episode, we are going to be talking about 12 knitting patterns that are going to get you super excited for the fall season. These patterns are all size inclusive. They include pullovers, cardigans, and vests. So let's get started. Our first pattern today is the Matthew Pullover. This is a pattern by Aimee Sherr, and I absolutely think this is gorgeous. It is knit from the bottom up. It has beautiful cables and a seed stitch detail across the yoke, and it has a modified drop shoulder, so you're really getting a nice fit without the extra bulky fabric under the arms. Also has a version where there are no sleeves, which I think is super cute. You can definitely make this a very flattering vest. I really love that it is knit with a bulky weight yarn, and the gauge is 14 stitches, so this is going to just fly off of your needles. Next up, we have the Glimmerview sweater. This is a pattern by Beth MacDonald Stone, and she has knit this using a lace and DK held together to achieve a DK weight yarn, and the gauge here is 18 stitches. It is knit from the top down. It is a circular yoke sweater. It is intended to be worn with some positive ease. You can knit these sleeves on this one extra long to be able to cuff them, just for an added bit of interest. I absolutely love these kind of wandering twisted stitches across the yoke on this. It's just so elegant and beautiful. Next up, we have the Willow Pullover. This is a pattern by Andrea Gaughan. She knit it in a DK weight yarn, and the gauge is 20 stitches. This one is knit bottom up, and I think this is really smart because you're going to get comfortable with this basket weave stitch, so that by the time you are decreasing for your yoke, you're really comfortable in the stitch pattern, and that will just make all of the rest of the sweater much easier to knit. It is also a modified drop sleeve fit, and I'm really loving this fit. I think it's very flattering on all bodies, and this one is just so fun. The next pattern that we have is the Rivendell Pullover. This is a pattern by Sari Nordlund. She used a DK weight yarn, and the gauge is 18 stitches. She knit this top down. It is a beautiful V-neck sweater featuring a cable down the sleeves and also around the neck. She also gives the option of doing an I-cord finish for your neckband or a ribbed neckband, which I think is absolutely beautiful. You could certainly make this cropped or longer depending on how you would like to style this sweater, and I just think it is such a beautiful fall piece for your wardrobe. Next up, we have the Alhambra. This is a pattern by Isabell Kraemer. She held a fingering and a lace weight together for a sport weight gauge, and the gauge is 21 stitches. I think this one's absolutely gorgeous. It has kind of an understated elegance. It is knit top down. It is more of a boat neck style, and she uses a contiguous set-in sleeve method, and that really gives the sweater such a beautiful fit. The body of the sweater is a textured, almost like a little weave look. It's really quite elegant, and then she incorporates the same texture just at the cuff of the sleeves, which I think is so pretty. There is also no ribbing on the neck, which I think sometimes can give it a little bit of a casual feel, but not in this sweater. It really looks quite elegant. Next up, we have the Mabels Sweater. This is a pattern by Locatelli, and she used fingering weight yarn. The gauge is 21 stitches, and this is a raglan construction sweater top down, and this is a half fisherman's rib, I believe. She really took a beautiful silhouette and made this such a classic sweater that you can wear through many seasons and many years. The pattern itself, because it is so simple and classic, is considered unisex, and I certainly would agree that this could look good on so many different bodies. Next up, we have the Ghost Orchard. This is a pattern by Thea Colman. She has knit this in an Aran weight yarn, and the gauge is 16 stitches. I think this is just absolutely stunning. I love the cabling and the twisted stitch kind of center. I just think this could be worn in so many different ways. You could wear it as she has it with a collared shirt. You could wear it with a beautiful turtleneck. You probably, depending on the yarn you use, could wear it on its own or with a little t-shirt underneath. I really just think this one is so much fun and just gives a nice bit of elegance. She also includes some seed stitching underneath the arms, which is so smart because with those cables, you really don't want your arms kind of rubbing against them. And this really keeps the sweater from being too bulky, or the vest from being too bulky, if you will. Next up, we have the Twig Tail. This is a pattern by Nadia, Crétin-Léchenne, and she held a sport and a lace together to get a worsted weight yarn, and her gauge is 22 stitches. This one is knit as a drop sleeve shoulder, and it is worked from the top to the bottom in one piece without seams. And this one is really interesting because you have a nice, beautiful pattern on the front with just stockinette in the back. So you really only have part of your pattern that you have to deal with only in the body of the sweater, only in the front panel, which is nice. It gives the illusion that it was knit in pieces, but it is just knit in one piece. And I think that's kind of a nice touch. I also, again, it's another drop shoulder. Can we see that I'm really into the drop shoulder look this season? It is just too pretty. Next up, one more Sari Nordlund. She just is queen of cables, and I had to include this. This is the Book Club Cardigan, and it is knit using a lace and a sport weight held together for a worsted weight yarn. She has her gauge as 18 stitches. And this one has pockets. I love that it has pockets. It has such a beautiful button band, and I just absolutely love that the pockets continue on that beautiful cabled pattern. She really is so thoughtful in how she constructs her garments. This one is a nice, beautiful V-neck cardigan, and I just could imagine wearing this for many years. I don't think it will ever go out of style. Next up, we have the Lauder pattern. This is a pattern by Rebecca Clow, and this one's kind of like a bonus pattern because it not only is a pullover, it does also come with a cardigan pattern, and these are, I believe, separate once you purchase this pattern. She knit this using a DK weight yarn, and the gauge is 22 stitches. I just think this one is so elegant. You can definitely knit it in so many different ways. I like that you could knit a crew neck pullover and a V-neck cardigan. Like, there's so many options, and I just love that her patterns always include all of these different options. With the V-neck, you could make a vest. I mean, there's just honestly you could knit this exact pattern several times and get a completely different garment each and every time that you knit it. She knit this also from the top down for the construction. Next up is Smokeshow. This is another vest by Thea Colman, and she just, I absolutely love her vests. This one is almost like a cardigan vest. It has little buttons in the front, and it just has this sweet little cabled pattern all over, and I really think that it is just so pretty. It is worked from the bottom up, and then it is split for your sleeves, and then the front and the back are knit separately. And last but not least, the Aimee sweater. This is a pattern by PetiteKnit. She used worsted weight yarn, and her gauge is 20 stitches. It is knit in the round, top down, and this is really could be a unisex pattern as well. It's a simple, oversized turtleneck, and it really could be dressed up, dressed down, and I just think it's a great wardrobe staple. I'm always such a fan of turtlenecks, and I haven't knit one yet, so I think it's gonna have to be on the list this year. I hope you enjoyed this pattern roundup. I will include all the patterns in the description box below, and there is also a master link that will take you to the bundles on Ravelry so you can see them all together at once if you wish. If you enjoyed this video and we're not yet knitting besties, please hit the subscribe button and like this video because it tells YouTube that other fiber enthusiasts like yourself enjoy this type of content. Thank you so much, and make some yarn magic. Bye!
Baby, you give me ice and fire. You're giving me wind and rain. You're some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my ass.